G'day guys, it's Daniel from the Bloke with the Beard here. Super excited to see you for our second video. And today we're going to be talking about staying sane in the cranium. Really important topic, especially given the last one where we spoke about suicide. And this came to us as a suggestion from our friend Luke. And he's like, well, how do we keep our brain going in the right direction, even when things are falling apart around us? I'm not very good with words. I will stumble and trip through all my videos, and that's what I do in real life. And today we're going to look at some resources from Headspace. I used to work with them, and I think their 7 tips for a healthy headspace are phenomenal. I will take that with me everywhere I go. We're going to look at some stuff from Beyond Blue. Great website, great place to look if you're ever looking for help. And we'll look at some stuff from the National Institute of Mental Health over in America. And we're going to kick things off by heading straight to Headspace. And they tell us, get into life to keep your headspace healthy. Go do things. Sometimes it's the little things in life that we do. I know I definitely have clients who, they get up and having a shower is a big deal because there's so much going on up here that being able to have a shower, that's a little goal they can win. Do things that you enjoy. So for me, that's playing music. For me, that's playing board games, card games, spending time with my wife and my daughter. Do something you enjoy. For you, it might be jumping on the BMX, might be jumping on the motorbike. For you, it might be getting out the wool and doing some knitting. It's definitely one of my wife's favourites. One of the other things they talk to us about is creating connections for a healthy headspace. So putting time into your relationships. And I'm not going to lie, when it comes to depression, especially depression, but it could be anything going on in life. There's just so much going on. The last thing you can make time for is your relationships. The last thing you want to do, almost in some cases, is spend time with other people. But if we want a good headspace, if we want to get through these hard times, we've got to fight those urges. We need to be able to reach out to the people we love. That could be your wife, your husband, your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, your bestie, whoever it is. Make some time with them. You don't even have to talk to them about what's going on. You don't have to tell them that your headspace is murky. It's good if you do, but just talking about stuff. It might be talking about the board game night coming up, how much you're looking forward to that. It could be just, work drama. We all have workplaces. We all know the drama. It could be anything like that. Stay active for a healthy lifestyle. Staying active, improve your sleep, gives more energy, manage stress. But when you're down and out, the last thing you want to do up here, according to your brain, is to go out and be active. The picture there of someone riding their bike, it might be someone that goes for a run. I've got a mate who loves his long distance running. No way in the world I could do that, but that's what he does, and it's insanely cool. You might go walking your dog. I usually, as part of my work with Anglicare, I get to go out and do education activities with kids and running around with them and running around like a literal 4-year-old. That's active. But whatever floats your boat, Well, we just got to get out and be active. Now, not only does being active help improve our brain in the way we're managing our situation, but it's also going to help us sleep better. And as we'll see in a few slides, we're going to sleep better we're going to have a better mental health if we sleep better. Now, the other thing to remember when I do these videos is that these are generalist. They are general statements. What works for you might not work for someone else. What works for someone else might not work for you. Try the different things. And if you decide you want some extra help, drop us a line. Give Beyond Blue a call. Lifeline 131114. You know what? You can even go have a chat with your GP if you can get into one. Living in remote Australia definitely has its pros and cons, and not being able to see a doctor when you want to is definitely one of them. There we are, get enough sleep. Now, when we sleep, there's some really cool things that happen. During the day, we build up different chemicals they build up in our brain. And when they do that, they make us tired. They make us not think well. They make us lethargic and lazy. It makes me lazy at any rate. So when we get to sleep and we have good quality sleep, we end up with getting rid of these chemicals that are built up. We end up reducing them, and our brain is able to function better. And that's really important. And again, it's one of the hardest things to do when you're going through a hard time. The stress, your brain is going a million miles an hour. There's a couple of really good teas that I drink. You can just get them from Woolies or IGA, Sleepy Time and Restful Nights and stuff. They're herbal, so they're not addictive, but that works for me. It might not work for you. And if you are having troubles getting to sleep, fully recommend doing everything you can to get in to see a doctor, because sleep is so important. I actually had a couple of rough days recently because I just wasn't able to sleep. Fortunately, my sleeping medications have kicked back in because I need them to help me sleep. What's coming up next? Eating well for a healthy headspace. Yeah, this is something that's also really challenging, because when we talk about eating well, we're not talking about portion sizes, right? We're talking about the quality of food that goes in. I'm in the process of trying to lose weight because I've enjoyed the finer foods for a little bit too long. I got a little bit too round. So I feel like a hypocrite sometimes talking about this, because I know the foods I like. I love me Whittaker's white chocolate. Like, that's my jam. That's what I go to. But eating healthy actually, not only does it's good for the waistline and all that jazz, but the chemicals and the nutrients that are released from healthy foods like fruit and veg and all that stuff actually affects the chemical balance in our brain, and it does it in our favor. So those chemicals that are causing us to stress and freak out, those chemicals that are giving us a bit of issue with depression and anxiety, some of the nutrients can help reduce. And I apologize for that big whack on the microphone. So again, food is good. Don't get me wrong, treats are nice too. I'm not saying that. But we've got to make sure we're getting our healthy food. Healthy food is good food. Okay. Now, and another hard one when we're going through hard times is we do sometimes hit the booze. We hit the bottle, and because that's drowning our sorrows. That's the stereotypical thing we do. But when we are introducing these mind altering drugs, and alcohol is one of those mind altering things, we are not giving our brain space to breathe. We're not giving our brain space to grow and think clearly. And believe it or not, lowering the amount of alcohol you have actually makes you feel better. And one of the reasons it makes you feel better is because it makes you think more clearly and more articulately. Again, this is generalist advice. There are some people who are dependent on alcohol, and cutting back on alcohol can be detrimental. If that's something you might relate to, again, feel free to drop us a line. Have a chat with your GP. Lifeline has a really good drug and alcohol counsellor program as well. But reach out. The drug arm is available in both Roma and Charleville and everywhere in between. They've got some amazing day programs, and where you don't even need to know what's going on. And there's a lot of remote sessions that you can do where no one's even going to know. And given how hard it is to keep a secret in a small town, That's a cool idea. And again, this is one of the things that's really hard when you're going through a hard time, because it's something that's giving you support. Well, it feels like, and it's really hard to lose that support. It can be done. Learn how to handle tough times to help your headspace. Okay, what does that mean? This is where we use big fancy words like resilience and self awareness. Big fancy words. Build your self fortitude. Going through inconvenient times and how we manage those inconvenient times helps us to build up for when big things happen. It's easier because we've dealt with little things in a good way. So if you're someone who swears and curses and rages because of a small inconvenience, like me, I'm generally speaking someone like that. And it's taken a lot of effort to not do that. It's taken a lot of time, practice, and I'm still growing. I'm still working on that. Focus on those little moments. You stub your toe. You crash the trolley into the corner of the aisle at the supermarket. Those little things are where we can practice. And that's how we build resilience. Resilience is one of those really inconsistently used words within pop culture, within media, pop psychology, and psychology. And so, if you just look at this as learn how to handle tough times to help to help build mental fortitude, you'll be getting it right. And now we get to beyond blue, mindfulness. Here it says practicing mindfulness can greatly benefit your mental health. It helps reduce stress, manage emotions, improve sleep, and can be a valuable tool in managing symptoms of anxiety and depression. What is mindfulness? The way I look at it is mindfulness is a way of switching our brain off and on again. It's the old IT crowd joke. Have you tried switching it off and on again? For some people, that's meditation. And they sit there and they do the meditation and they rock it. For some people, it's yoga, Pilates. I've got some mates who are absolute gym bros, and for them, mindfulness is pumping those irons. Those are big muscle boys. But that's their mindfulness. For some, it's crochet. For some, it's scrapbooking. For some, it's reading up on the latest technology for managing your crops, because some of that Wi-Fi connected data is incredible. For me, I love spending some time on the PlayStation. I do. I'll sit there and I'm needing that space. I'll sit there for half an hour and jump on some sort of shoot 'em up game and blast away the bad guys for half an hour, and that's mindfulness to me. I set a timer. I don't spend all night playing and wake up going, oh, I should have actually gone to sleep instead of playing video games. And I can hear my daughter in the background laughing as I talk about playing video games for mental health. But that's legit, because it's a way you're taking your mind off the situations you're in and moving them into a completely different space. So when you come back to think about what has been happening, you can sit there and go, oh, I could do this and this. It might become a lot more clearer. And in general, it's good just to turn your brain off every once in a while. And whilst sleep is death with benefits, mindfulness is more towards using your brain, but not using your brain, if that makes sense. I love playing music, listening to music. Those are a couple of things that I will do just to help me focus on something else that's not the world around me. Our last slide comes to us from the National Institute of Mental Health in America. Set goals and priorities, practice gratitude, focus on positivity, stay connected. Going from the top, set goals and priorities. I mentioned before about my clients who a small win, what we would think of not even as a small win, is a huge thing where they can go have a shower. It might be that you're going to get the shopping done. That's a pretty big one for me. I hate going to the supermarket. It might be that you're going to get through the day and you're going to say hi to people. Set little goals. Set priorities if you have to. What are the big things that you got to get done? It's like when you want to fill a jar up as much as you can, and you've got golf balls, marbles, and sand. You put the golf balls in first. It takes up they're the biggest bits. So you get those things done first. And my cat is trying to escape. And he's not even going to come out. We'll see if he comes out later. Put the bar. Then we put the marbles in. We give it a bit of a shake, and you get marbles and golf balls in there. And then you put the sand in, the little tiny things. Get the golf balls. What are the golf balls in your life? What are the ones that you need to sort out first? And work your way back. Practice gratitude. There's lots of ways to do this. In this particular instance, it says write them down, replay them in your mind. Absolutely a good way to do it. As a Christian, we might say, count your blessings, name them one by one. Now, as a Christian, I will sit there and I will think about the great things that have happened in my life, and I will attribute that to God. You don't have to believe in God to think about all the good things that have happened in your life. You don't have to believe in any being. You could be an atheist, an agnostic, you could be whatever. Then you can still think about the good things that have happened in your life. Write them down. It's amazing what happens when you make particular effort to thank people. Gratitude for the good things that happen in your life, but when you actually show gratitude to the other people in your life for the things that they do. Someone might make you a coffee. Hey, thanks. No, actually stop and proper thank you. That was something that person did for you, took time out of their day for. And it doesn't take long to make a coffee if you're already making yourself one. But actually show gratefulness, show your appreciation. One of the things I learned a few years ago was to actually say the words, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you did for me. Actually saying those words to someone. When was the last time someone said they appreciated something you did for them? When was the last time you felt appreciated? For men, where it's not something we're used to. And feeling appreciated can feel very alienating because we're not used to it. But if we go showing our appreciation to others, we become more grateful for what we have in our lives. Actively saying I'm grateful, actively saying I appreciate when someone does something good and nice for you, helps with that feeling of gratitude, helps with that practice of gratitude. And you're more likely to remember those things later on. When we are grateful for what happens around us, our mindset improves. And I hate cliche analogies, but the glass half full, half empty, it can literally change your mind from being, oh, my glass is half empty, to, oh, dude, at least there's something left. Yeah, boy, and smash down that cold water. The way we look at the world changes when we show our appreciation. And if more people are showing their appreciation of others, more people feel appreciated. And for men in particular, if men start feeling appreciated, they stop feeling worthless. They stop feeling like they're contributing nothing to the world around them. Contributing to someone's mental health by saying you appreciate them is a huge thing. Focus on positivity. We've just spoken about gratitude and focusing on the things that people have done for you. The glass half empty analogy, as cliche as it is, focus on the things that are going well in your life. Focus on the things that have made your life better. Um, we all have rough days. One of the things that we do at our house, especially with my daughter, is at the end of the day before bed, we talk about three good things that happened today. And sometimes it's really easy. I drew some really cool art. I made a new friend. I've got cool teachers. They're pretty easy. But what happens when our day's crap? What happens when our day is really rough? You know, what happens when you've lost your job? You got fired. When you've gone through a harsh breakup? What happens then? Well, did you get to eat? I like being able to eat, so that's important to me. That's a pretty good thing. I've still got a roof over my head. I still have a nice comfy bed. I can have a nice warm shower. One of the things that blew my mind away, I was volunteering with a homelessness support organisation on the Gold Coast during the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. And the guys who run the place, they decided they're going to bring in this Portaloo shower. I am not underselling it. Imagine a Portaloo and put a shower in there instead of a toilet. That's all this thing was. And so people who were homeless would come in, they'd get a feed, kick back, relax in a safe place, and they'd take turns having a shower. And the amount of people who would walk out of that shower in tears because that was the first warm shower they had in months blew my mind and helped me to understand that I hadn't been appreciating the simple things in my life. And I've done this activity with people who are homeless, who don't have a roof over their head, who haven't had a feed that day. And they'll still sit there and they'll talk about things like, well, I didn't get beat up today. Yeah, nice. Well, I found a couple of smokes on the ground. Beauty. They've got little things in their day that they're grateful for. So it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter what you're going through. There is always something helpful. The last thing on the list there is stay connected. It's very similar to where we started with headspace. Reach out to family and friends. Humans by nature are a social creature. Even loners and introverts like me need social connection. I'm not going to be racing out to find millions of people to come hang out with me. I will be seeking out one, maybe two people to help me. And the people you go to, you could have lots or you could have few. But you need to find someone. I don't know if you've heard the phrase getting a load off your chest or releasing a burden when you talk to someone about something. It's a real life physiological thing. When you talk to someone and you share what's happening in your world, it's like a pressure comes off your chest. It's like a pressure is released. So when you talk to someone, that's a great thing. And I said before, when you do go talk to someone, it doesn't have to be about what's happening in life. It can just be what's happening in general. The dramas at work. You might like to talk about the weird and wacky things happening in world politics. There's certainly a infamous island that lots of people are enjoying talking about and making conspiracy theories about. Whatever it is that you want to talk about, just having that social connection can help build you as a person. One last thing I wanted to bring up was spiritual connection. Now, if you are someone who has no spiritual beliefs, mindfulness is just as good. But if you are someone with a spiritual connection, me, for example, I'm a Christian. I have a strong connection to God and His Word. There is something to be said for engaging in your belief. As a Christian, it might be reading your Bible, praying, going to church on a Sunday. It becomes mindfulness, social connection. It becomes a way to remind us of what else is out in the world. And this is the same whether you are a Muslim, you are a Jew, whether you are a Buddhist or a Hindu. There are things that you can do to draw yourself closer. We spend a lot of time talking about First Nations people of Australia and their connection to the land and their culture. Whatever your culture is, connect to it. You know, for First Nations people, we talk about spirituality and culture, and there might be connecting back to the land, connecting back to the mob. The clients I've had who I've helped to rediscover their connection to country and mob. But whatever it is, make time and make that a part of your life. It doesn't matter who you are and what you do to live, thrive, and survive. There are still some things that make us all the same. You, me, them, everybody. So make some time for yourself. Make some time to be grateful. Make some time to sleep. We'll catch you next time here at The Bloke with a Beard, and I'm sure we'll have another exciting story to talk about.